See where this thing goes here. Hold on. Three, two, hold on. Boom. Jared, we're on. I was just asking Ivan, do you find yourself Googling words? I just did a live stream right now that I think, Jared, was the most positive live stream in the history of the internet. And
Wow.
I had somebody from Egypt, like put positive vibes from Egypt. And I was going to put it on my IG post right now, but I don't know how to spell Egypt. So I went to Google and I go, does that happen to you, man? Because I'm an immigrant.
I mean, dude, you're an immigrant. I'm an idiot. I have to Google everything. Like, it's the God's gift to people who are slow.
You said it, brother. You said it. Dude, I'm such a fan of your vibe and what you do, Jared. How important is it in what you do, man, that energy and vibe you bring to the table, bro?
I think that energy and vibe is important to life. Like the lens that you look through everything at is going to determine your experience. And it's like those super positive people who, like, no matter what, they're like, oh man, this is great, and you're like, mom, this is terrible right now. Like, they always have a way to spin things around because they have this lens that they look through. The world's just different to them. And I think that if you have the ability to adopt that, you can have the same experience in life, but it will be very different, if that makes sense. Like the person who's struggling to pay their bills, it's like thanking God every day. I'm blessed. I've got my health. I've got my family. And then other people that are broke, they're bitching every single day about their bills and their boss and all this other stuff. So, man, I think your vibe and your attitude is critical. It's critical to your satisfaction in life.
Have you always been that way, or is this something you picked up later on in life?
I think to say that I've always been like that is probably an overstatement. I've always been optimistic, but I think things really changed for me when I got really clear on what I wanted to get out of life, and then started putting the pieces in place to get on that path. And then when you start seeing the thing that you actually want that seemed impossible at one point, and you start seeing progress towards that, you start building momentum. You're like, damn, dude, life's good. I got a beautiful wife. I got 2 beautiful kids. I'm making money. I'm helping a ton of people. Like, man, I ain't got a whole lot to bitch about.
You got a great hairline going there, great set of hair. You can't lose. Look at that, bro. Dude, do you miss at all living in California? Is that where you were born, in San Diego?
Oh yeah, man. How could you not?
That weather, huh?
Oh my gosh. It's not the best business state. Taxes suck. But the food's awesome. The weather's awesome. There's trade-offs. When I moved out to Miami, we I ended up my rent here, then some, was covered by the money that I saved in taxes. Crazy. And I was like, man, I got a bigger place. I tripled up on what I was spending on rent. I still got more money than I had before. I'm like, man, this is something else. So then you start thinking, well, maybe I could take a few trips a year to California. Maybe go out there for a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, try and get a little taste.
For sure. How does it feel being one of the few Americans here in Miami, bro? Does that feel good or no?
Well, somebody's got to carry the flag. I got come over here and I wasn't blessed with like a dark complexion. I'm pasty white. So, I stand out a little bit.
That is awesome, dude. That is awesome. Your honesty, man. Looking at your history, how you pretty much called yourself out in your 20s, and how there isn't people, especially during our time back then, helping dudes out in their 20s. I had to give you a little context on me. I'm kind of known like the baseball's where I popped, but I became the kid whisperer. Mm-hmm. So people started reaching out to me to help them with their kids. A lot of parents, a lot of kids in their 20s. In the research that I started to do, Jarrod, I started to notice that they say that the front part of our brain isn't fully developed for the male, bro, till we're at least 24, 25.
Mm-hmm. That explains a lot.
So that explains a lot of stuff that we did, whether it was good, bad, whatever, man. One of the things I like a lot about you is that you're completely honest with your substance use in the past. You call yourself out a lot on that. Man, that honesty, I think it's huge, especially it plays very well today. Have you always been like that, or is that something you picked up after?
Yeah, no, I've always been honest to a fault, to other people, to myself, to girls. Like it was always the natural thing for me to do. Like it takes so much energy not to be honest that I just couldn't keep up with. I could never keep up with it. I'm just like, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. I'm just going to say what's true for me, what's real for me, what's on my mind. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'll get another at bat.
You're absolutely right. I think you're the kind of guy that I feel landed in the perfect situation, like in the perfect team. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why. Because you don't have an ego. You're a team player. And in the system that you're in right now is perfect, dude. Did you see that when you came in? Did you see those signs?
Well, there were 3 employees when I started, and none of them were there anymore. So it was a different thing. I think what I saw was, looking back when I was kind of trying to figure life out, I had a good job selling advertising when I was in my 20s or early 20s. I just turned 21. I was making almost $200,000 a year, living at home with my parents. So I didn't even know what kind of job I had at that point. But then I made a bunch of bad decisions and got into a bad way. I was on unemployment, was broke. I was a loser, I was smoking weed every day. And I remember when I started seeing some videos from Grant. My dad actually sent me a video of Grant on YouTube, and I saw it and I was like, immediately this guy literally punched me right in the face. Like, you're an idiot. You're capable of more. Dude, you think you got problems? You ain't got shit for he was just real and raw and gave me, not a smack, but punched me in the mouth. And then when I started getting more of the content, not just the wake up call, it was like, I kept saying, man, if I would have only known this when I was 20, oh my gosh, you just said this and the customer said that. If I would have just known that when I was getting started, what could have been different? How much better could I have done? And so I think for me, the thing that I saw was a solution to a problem that I personally experienced. And I think that's why in the beginning I was able to push through. Grant was not Grant when I started working for him. He didn't have, there was no Instagram. He had a Facebook channel or an YouTube with maybe 30 videos on it. He had a private Facebook page. I mean, this was going back. There wasn't there. You opened the show saying it, man. There wasn't people back then talking about success and how to get better, and because the channels just weren't even established yet. Right. So I think for me, once I saw that, it validated a lot of the questions that I had, and also showed me the answer. And so I'm a purpose-driven person, and I do like to make money, but I also like to make an impact. And I thought, man, there's so many people out there that need this, and that's why I resonate with young people so well, because, man, there's so many questions that people have when they're in their 20s about what they want to do and how they're going to do it and how they're going to make money, and there aren't a whole lot of resources that growing up in my time could have used. And then today, you don't know who to trust. There's so many people trying to help you out. You're like,
yeah, it's out of control. It's out of control. Let me ask you a question. Your dad.
Yeah.
Me and my dad are completely the opposite. The guy prepared me for everything in life, but except to deal with him. So completely the opposite. But your dad, the fact that he was able to have the self-awareness with himself and with you and understand, man, this Grant guy, I think this guy's going to help you. How similar are you to your dad? Is he an entrepreneur dude? Is he a corporate dude? How's that vibe?
So my dad and I are similar in a lot of ways and very dissimilar in a lot of ways. He grew up on a ranch in the Midwest. His family boarded horses, so he was waking up really early. I think that's without a doubt, that's where I got the work ethic from, is because he grew up doing hard work. He moved to Newport Beach when he was, I think, in his early 20s, and just ended up just figuring it out, hustling. But he was always an employee, and I think that's the thing that my dad never talked about becoming a millionaire to me. He never talked about, making big real estate investments, because he wasn't doing that, because he didn't know any better. Nobody taught him. And so I think for me, although I had a great upbringing, I was always like, how do I get the big thing? How do I chase that big goal, that big win? And that's what Grant represented for me, is that kind of that financial education piece. But me and my dad are he likes to deal with people. He's in the motorcycle business. He runs a Harley Davidson store here in Miami. But we both like people, but in different ways. He's super analytical, and I'm more influencive, I guess you could say.
Do you drive motorcycles?
I grew up never on the street, but I grew up riding anything with a motor and wheels off road.
Nice, dude. Nice.
So it's a fun, Southern California. You grow up down there, you surf, you wakeboard, you snowboard, you ride dirt bikes.
There's nothing like taking a bike down the PCH, bro. That's like the best.
Yeah.
As you are where you are now, man, president, you have like 300? How many employees you have under you?
We have 165 employees.
So your people skills have to be through the roof, man. You got to be, it reminds me a lot of what you do, reminds me a lot of the nightclub business, because the nightclub business, I was at a club called Hyde in the Bellagio, and for 4 years, and you could literally throw the best party of your life on Friday, but guess what? The club has to open again on Saturday. And you can't be with this like, oh, we did great yesterday, but today, because every day is like your Super Bowl every single day. Yeah. How do you motivate your people to have the same enthusiasm, to have the same vibe that you have, man?
Yeah, I think that in there's a different answer to that based on different groups of people, or people who have different roles within the company. I think, intrinsically with any company, you're going to get people who show up to have a job, and your job is to create enough of a vision in the company for them to show up and get behind what you're doing. So that, there's like, there's something else that's keeping them there besides the paycheck. They're probably not going to be the ambitious person that's trying to move through promotions and all that stuff. They just want to show up. They want to get a consistent paycheck. They don't want to have any drama or problems. And hey, if I like what the company's about, then that's a bonus. And so I think you want to paint a vision of the company and the impact that you're making for those. Then I think there's the others who want to ascend and grow within the company. And then your job is to, bring those people under your wing and identify what's important to them, and make sure that you're providing them with enough access to information and access to enough of understanding how the company works, the inner workings of the company, to allow them to move through, that have some mobility within the company and move through different roles. And then I think you have people that, no matter what they're going to leave, they're the top performers. And your job is to, get what you can from them while they're with you. And, if you can impart anything that will help them along the way in your journey, then do that too,
Jarrod, when it comes to the energy and the vibe of what Cardone University is, from an outsider looking in, we think energy, we think hard work, but I think the one thing that sets you guys apart is really the confidence that you bring to the table. And I think for a salesperson, that is key. Is that something that you guys touch on when you bring people on board?
Well, confidence comes from knowing. And if you have the ability to not just get people excited, but you can give them tactics and strategies that will allow them to win in the marketplace, then those wins create confidence and momentum. And so when you tell a salesperson, when the customer says this, you say that, and they're like, I don't know if that's going to work. They have all these doubts because they've never done it before. And then they do it and it works. their eyes light up. You see their energy changes. And it's not because I said something to inspire them. It's because I showed them a tool in order to do a job. And now they have another tool in their toolbox. And then when you fill that toolbox up, what ends up happening is their confidence levels are so high, not because they feel good or they got a good attitude, but it's because they know if they get called to do a job, they have the right tool in the toolbox. You know, Grant just got off a project, and I can tell a little bit more about this now than I had in the past, but he just got finished shooting a show called Undercover Billionaire, where they take you, they put you in a city where nobody knows you, they change your identity, they give you $100, a cell phone, and a busted ass truck, and you got to build $1 million business in 90 days. Now you take a guy like Grant, you strip everything away from him, including all of his money. Is he broke?
No.
No way. Because he has all the skills and the resources up here to go out and replicate what he did with a lot of the knowledge of the mistakes and the pitfalls and the shortcuts. And I mean, he just seeing him in that environment reinforced to me that the skills that you learn and the knowledge that you have truly are things that can never be taken away from you. And that's why you have those cliches that's like, you know, an investment in yourself is the best investment you can make because it can never be taken from you. And it's so easy to say, but when I actually get to see it in practice, it's a pretty solid reinforcement of why people say that.
Well, as a salesperson myself, I really love what you guys are doing. And when it comes to your podcast as well, the Young Hustlers, I love the fact that, you know, you take calls that are live. And you have dudes that are struggling, trying to figure out their pitch. What should they say? And, you know, it's awesome. Like when you're teaching them and just that knowledge that you're passing along, you could hear on the phone how this individual is processing and is saying, man, you know, I didn't think of that. And the way you're impacting people, I love it. So great job on that, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a show that we, you know, again, the purpose of that show really initially was when we moved out here 7.5 years ago, I was 29 years old and we had just moved out to Florida. We were getting the podcast thing cranked back up and all that stuff. And it was like, I was like, man, there's so many young folks that don't have a good role model to follow. And trying to figure out, like, their parents were like my parents. They didn't teach them this stuff. They got to figure it out on their own. And in that case, it means most of them don't. And so for me, it was like, this, Grant, we got to do this because people want to get access to information and they don't want it from their dad's crusty golf buddy. And then half the time they don't even have access to this information. So like, how can we be the people that do it? And that show was born 7 years ago. We've been doing a weekly show for 7 years.
Jarrod, you film that once a week, a couple days? How do you film it?
Yeah, so every Thursday at noon, East Coast time, we go live. We initially go live through Facebook. You know, we go live through all the social platforms, and then we package it up and run it as a podcast.
How did you look at content before? Because one of the things of joining, hold on one second, hold on. There we go. One of the things of joining that team is content and how you guys look at content. Did it take you a while to become comfortable with having a camera in front of you, stuff like that? Yeah. Or were you like instant ready to go?
I mean, I think that, you know, without a doubt, you get more comfortable the more times you do something. I mean, I used to have notes and plan and prepare. I mean, I could do a 2-hour podcast if you gave me a topic with 3 minutes of preparation. So I think that you just, the level of comfort comes in less of a need to like spend a lot of time planning and preparing and knowing when to, you know, when you can kind of just run and run down a rabbit hole and have an interesting discussion that maybe wasn't even planned for just because it presented itself. And so I think the comfort gives you the mobility inside the interview or content creation or whatever to explore things and just know, you know, how to get back on the main road. And so I think that was a big thing for me, and it was just all came through repetition, you know?
Repetition, huh? Mm-hmm. Jarrod, what's your favorite type of music?
Man, listen to house music. I listen to country music. I listen to hip hop. I listen to 80s. I listen to literally. It depends on the day of the week. But
today, what'd you hear? Did you hear anything today?
I was listening to Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, coming over here.
Nice,
yeah.
dude,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
I think, man, as you do more and more of these podcasts and you do a lot of this stuff, man, and now you have one yourself, what in your opinion makes a good podcast? Because I'm sure you have enough experience now where you're sitting there and you go, oh, this is going to suck, man. This is just going to be horrible. What makes you intrigued in a podcast?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love doing shows that have a very, very clear, defined outcome going into it. So I do a lot of 3 things you need to know about this, 5 ways that you can get better at this. For me, it gives me boundaries for the show, but I think it also communicates to the viewer what they can expect to get out of it. And my show, we don't on that show, on the Young Hustler show, we don't really do interviews. We don't have guests really, unless it's people from within our office. And then in that case, we're highlighting something that they did and then using it as a way to fill out content for the show. But that show is really educational. It's really, for me, it's a vehicle for me to get on and talk about things that I've learned working for Grant. I've got perspective and access to a guy that, people pay $100,000 to do coaching with Grant. So it's and I have access to him behind the scenes. And I got to say that I have rarely asked Grant for help on anything. The biggest gift that he can give me is the ability to just look. And so I think less than 10 times in the 10 years that I've been with him, I've said, hey, I need your help with X, or hey, what do you think about X? For me, the mentorship I get from him just comes from watching and listening to the way that he handles conversations and looking at how he approaches things and how he views things, because it's a very contrarian perspective. And a lot of people, when he does stuff, it makes them pause for a second. But there's always a reason he's doing things the way that he's doing. And that's been a great education as well,
I totally understand that, bro. How do you now, because when you're with somebody that's so successful, how does it not become Jarrod Cardone? You know what I'm saying? How do you go, okay, I'm going to grab that, but then I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this, use that. How do you manage that?
Well, I think that the underlying principles that Grant talks about are the thing that everybody needs to look for and identify and replicate. But
top 3 principles, Jarrod. Top 3 principles. Give them to me.
Massive action, massive levels of activity. You have to have the right approach with things, meaning that you, in a sales process, for example, and you have to have a great attitude. If I were to pick 3, so attitude, approach, action, A cubed. There we go.
A cube. I love it.
So but and if you think about just those 3 things, for example, if you have a great attitude, but you and you have a great approach, you know how to talk to people, but you don't take enough action, your success will diminish. And if you take a lot of action and you have a great sales pitch, but you have a bad attitude, then your production's going to be hit. So it's just always this molding and figuring of how to make things work for you. And I think that people oftentimes are turned off by Grant because of the surface level, superficial thing that gets talked about or said, or the way he's packaged something. But you always have to figure out that's the way Grant does it. It's not the way I'm going to do it or the way I need to do it. But what I need to understand is that underlying principle that he's trying to communicate, and then go out and replicate that in my own way. And I think that if anytime you're dealing with any mentor or anything like that, you need to look for what is the thing that they are trying to communicate, and then how do I make that my own? Because if you try to replicate things the way that some people do them, it will not be possible for you. And you will find disagreements along the way, and you will have issues, and you're always going to have problems because you're trying to do something that is not natural for you to do. And
I can't agree with you more, bro.
Yeah.
I lived in Los Angeles for 6 years. The first 6 months, I slept in a car in the Hollywood Hills. And my positive attitude, my Cuban charisma, whatever got me into all the circles, what didn't make me more successful was I lacked identity. I had identity issues. So I would act like somebody else and I would do this while being around the most successful people on the planet, because I was very good with their kids, but I lacked in that. So that to me was a mistake that I made, that now at 41 is different because I'm comfortable now and I could say this and that. So I think that you said, man, is really, really important.
Yeah. And I think that identity, some people struggle to figure that out ever. And I think that the way that you do figure that out is you just, you have to get punched around a little bit, like you have to experience life a little bit. Because if you are naive and you haven't experienced any obstacles or challenges in your life, then when they come, it tests your definition of who you think you are. And I think the more challenges you go through, certainly living in a car is going to teach you a lot about yourself. I know that me going through that kind of low point that I had taught me a lot about myself, and more importantly, taught me a lot about the things that I never want to experience again in my life. Much like you and sleeping in your car, I slept on a freaking air mattress for almost 2 years. Like I had the same set of clothes, 4 or 5 sets of clothes, that was all I had, and I couldn't buy new clothes. And, I just remember that. And that is the thing that I'm like, I'm never going back there again. And so when I have to make decisions about an investment or, decisions about my future, like I'm working to create a massive chunk of passive income for myself in a very secure asset that can never be destroyed. So I invest all my money in apartments with Grant because I know that those apartments are going to be around forever. And that gives me the confidence of knowing that, man, I'll be in a situation where, pending a nuclear disaster, I won't ever have to go back there.
That's awesome, man. That's where everybody wants to be. Mistake you see young people make, because I'm sure now you've seen enough formula of enough situations to be like, oh, this one's going to make a mistake, that one's going to make a mistake again. What are the common mistakes you see?
I'll say this in 2 ways. Number one is the wrong why, or an undefined why. And this is, in my mind, the single biggest opportunity in the younger generation. Too often, society, parents, school, they push people to figure out what they want to do rather than what they want to have. And this is a bit of a contrary to what people say, and some people may totally disagree with me. But for me, the thing that gave me infinite amounts of clarity in my life was when I figured out what I wanted to have. Like and not just in terms of like material things, but like when I think of when I'm 60 years old, what type of life do I want to have? Where do I want to live? If my kids are in school, where did they go to school? Where do I vacation? Who do I bring with me? What kind of cars do I drive? What type of charities do I support? What do me and my wife have the ability to do? What about my parents? Like I have to go fast forward and define what I want my future to look like. And forget about the method, because trying to figure out what you want to do the rest of your life is the most ridiculous question that you could ask anybody who's 20 years old, because that front brain thing that you talked about earlier, right?
That front brain, bro, you said it.
So for me, and I think for most people that are in their 20s, which is when you're supposed to try to figure shit out.
Yeah.
It's easier to think with what you want your life to be like rather than how you're going to get there. And for me, it was always easier to figure out, I'm sure, like you were sleeping in a car, you're scrappy, you figure out a way to make it work. You don't know how you're going to make money. You don't know how you're going to meet that person. You don't know how that stuff's going to happen, but you know what outcome you're going for. And so I think for most people, if they could get crystal clear on the outcome that they're looking for in their life, and again, for me, I call it the ideal life. What's the ideal life at 60 years old look like, or 65 or whatever?
Right.
Define everything, like draw it out, spend 4 hours, spend half a day doing this. Like what's half a day to figure out what you want your life to look like, right? So spend a half a day doing this, get crystal clear. Then don't stop there. Figure out how much that life's going to cost. So for me, when I go through my ideal life at 60, I go, okay, this is everything I want. Next question I have to go is, how much is it going to cost? And then the next question is, do I want to be working at this point, or do I want passive income to pay for all this stuff? Ooh, I want passive income to pay for all this stuff. Well, how much do I need to have invested at whatever rate of return I'm calculating in order to have the passive income to afford me that lifestyle? And then I get the number of 10 million or 3 million or 30 million. And then now I have a target. Now I can start getting creative to figure out how to get the target. But I didn't start with some dumbass question like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? I said, you need to figure out how to get 30 million. And then I can start making decisions today that get me closer to that target and not worried about what it looks like, but I'm looking for the opportunity. And if that means that I'm going to create some business picking up old food from a restaurant or trash or something, like who knows what it's going to look like. But you got to get clear on the outcome that you're looking for, and the method will reveal itself. And
so you're reverse engineering it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting down. If you're like, I'm in a role right now where I can break a number down to, how many calls do we need to make today?
Right.
Nice.
And if you can break your goal, this is the difference between a goal and a target. If you can break your goal down to a target, then you have immediate feedback on if you're moving closer or further away from your target or from your goal. So goal, big picture. What is the thing you're trying to achieve for the year, for the next decade, whatever, and work that all the way back to how many of X do I need to do today to get there? And then at the end of the day, you go, did I do X or not? And if you didn't, you fell short. You got further away from your target today. But guess what? You can correct it tomorrow. But if you don't have targets and you can't measure it on a daily basis, if you don't have a clear outcome that you're going for, it's not possible to have targets to measure on a daily basis. That's when you end up in a situation where 5 years go by, you're like, oh man, where'd the last 5 years go? And dude, I have people that we talk to that are in our groups that are in their 60s that have never asked these questions to themselves. Wow. Imagine that, dude. Imagine you got 20 years left to live. And you're like, wow, for the first time ever, I'm actually trying to think about what I want my life to look like. That's not too late. Like, dude, I went from broke to millionaire in 4 years. It ain't ever too late for anybody. But
100%.
Get on track, man.
But see what you guys do, man, and I love it. And part of your podcast, you touched on the targets. You guys really dedicate the time to teach a salesperson how to sell. And that job used to be the sales manager's job, the director's job. But unfortunately, I think nowadays that director and that sales manager is too focused on their personal numbers to really dedicate time to grow their team, to develop them. And by watching your podcast, being part of the Cardone team, I think that foundation is what you guys bring to the table that's missing nowadays.
Yeah. Like, shame on you if you're waiting for somebody to come teach you how to do things. Like, I understand 20 years ago when there was no internet, but you got people that are listening to this show right now that are bitching about their situation and they're not doing anything about it. I mean, dude, I know kids that like literally broke, struggling, left their parents' house when they were 18, 19 years old. And they start just getting scrappy. Next thing you know, they have a web-based business. They're making $2 or $3 million a year. Like it's the time is better now than it's ever been for people to go out and self-educate the things that they're interested in, for the skills that they need in order to achieve their ideal life or to get on track for that. Like, shame on you if you're not out there doing it. You're lazy. You're making excuses. Like, it's now is the time to do this. And if now isn't the time, or you can't make that connection, I guarantee you it's because you have not figured out your why. What is your outcome? Almost every single time when people are like, well, I don't know why I should do this or how I should do that, or, I can't really keep a job, or what. Every single time it goes back down to, I'm like, well, dude, what do you want your life to look like when you're 50, 60 years old?
Well, Jarrod, you're so right. You're 100% right. One of the questions, I get about 500 to 1,000 DMs a week. Parents asking me stuff. The kids, my kid doesn't want it as much as I do. After the pandemic, all he wants to do is play Fortnite, and he doesn't want to practice anymore. I tell the parent, I go, that's awesome. Stop pushing sports, push Fortnite. The problem is we're scared to push passion on people that doesn't seem sexy or successful, where I think now that's the winning. And that's the why you're talking about. That's where you find your why.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because that is stifled, I don't think people ever learn how to develop passion for doing things. It's like, people grow up, they change, you move through seasons of your life. Like, would you rather that your kid knows how to, play ball, or would you rather your kid understands how to be passionate about the things that they want in life? And so it's a huge lesson. It's a great point, like, teach people how to find that fire. So when they're in the situation that they have something that they want to go all in on, that they know how to burn the ships and get laser focused and, not let anything else get in their way.
I love that, dude. You said you had 2 kids. What do you got? Boy, girl, 2 girls, 2
boys.
2 boys.
Yep.
What ages?
3 and 2 months.
No way. 3 and 2 months. What names?
Jake and Jordan.
Jake and Jordan. Wife, American or Hispanic?
She's Jewish.
Jewish. Okay, so there you go.
Russian Jew, so blonde hair, blue eyed.
No, I love it. I love it. Are you gonna push sports at all? Did you play any sports?
I played baseball. I played soccer. I wrestled, but then figured out that I really liked playing golf.
You're a golf guy.
Yeah.
Dude, how often to me, that's my favorite sport. I just worked with 2 golfers this week of just mindset with the dads, because golf is different than let's say baseball, because baseball, the field's there and the parent has to at least be forced to stay behind the fence.
Yeah.
But in golf, you're with your son, you're the caddy, so you can literally be in the green with him and stuff like that. Yeah. Total different mindset, stuff like that, man. How early are you going to get your son involved in golf?
I take him now, like my 3-year-old, I take him to the golf course now. I just kind of show, I let him watch me. We drive around in the car. It's like, I just took him, we're members up at Turnberry, and I took him to the course and we're driving around, and I'm like, okay, buddy, I'm going to get it up on the green, and then you got to putt it in, and then you give him the club and he's trying to do it. And then I'm showing him how to do it. He goes, Dad, you're really good at teaching me how to do things.
No way. How good does that feel, man? When he tells you that, how good does that feel?
Dude, I mean, kids are the most insane blessing in the world. Like, show me joy and happiness that I never knew I could experience. And, seeing the world, them experience the world and learn things is just, man, words can't describe how good it feels.
It's crazy. Did you always want to be a father?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I was the reverse. I wanted to be like Oprah. Have everybody be my kids, but no kids, But then my wife wanted 2, and I got 2 now. Are you going to try for the girl at all, or you're done?
Probably not. Like, I'm game for a 3rd. It's hard to think about right now because we're just getting out of, the whole thing. And so you don't want to talk to your wife about having kids after they have a kid, unless they're one of those freak of nature women that are just like, I want to have 9 babies.
Right.
But, so maybe, probably not. I know she would have wanted to have a girl, but I'm so pumped that we had 2 boys.
Dude, that house is going to be on fire, bro. That house is going to be on fire. Let's get into the live events.
Yeah.
Great business, great energy, great stuff, man. You have something now, 30 days, a challenge?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So, I mean, we do, in my mind, the best events for business and entrepreneurs in the country. We did one in Miami year before last, had 34,000 tickets sold for that event. So
Super Bowl weekend, which is not easy.
Yep. And I think we put more people in the stadium, than the Marlins had. So it was a great deal. So we put on great events, but now obviously with COVID, things are changing and people are changing the way that they engage and interact with their public and their audience. And so we put together a challenge. People are hurting right now. People are struggling right now. People are trying to figure out how to improve their situation and they don't have time to do it. They need it now. And so we put together a 10-day challenge called the 10X Challenge, where for 10 days straight, Grant's going to go live for 60 to 90 minutes. And he's going to be talking about different things that you can do immediately. Like these are instant tactics, strategies, hacks, tips that you can put to work that will actually, like, you'll hear it at night and then the next day you'll use it and you'll see an improvement. And so we're excited about having some positive impact. We got about 100,000 people registered for it so far. People can get signed up at grantcardone.com/challenge. grantcardone.com/challenge. It's absolutely free to join. And we think that we'll be able to get a massive group of people to commit to just 10 days, an hour a day. Anybody can do that to figure out how to jumpstart their current situation. Everybody could use a hand right now. And we want to provide not only a hand, but a little bit of push.
I love that. Is it pre-recorded? Is it live? How does that work?
So every day we're going live. So it'll be live. Grant's going to have some special guests on. Kenny Smith from TNT, basketball player Kenny the Jet. He just agreed to do it. Damon John's going to speak. Jay Shetty, Jesse Itzler, Rebecca Minkoff, Dave Grutman's going to come on and share. So we got a good lineup of some people. Tim Grover, Eric Worre, a buddy of ours, Dar Man, who's got a massive social audience, 9 billion views on YouTube, 23 million followers.
Wow.
And so they all kind of have their little superpower that we're gonna bring them on and have them talk about and impart some wisdom on the group.
I love that, dude. What are we doing for the Spanish bilingual community, bro?
I don't know.
Right here, we're gonna hook you up. We
need some translations. You know, Grant. See, the problem with Grant is he don't even speak English. You know, so
Jarrod, I think you guys are missing right now some bald heads and beards.
Yeah, right.
You don't speak English, dude. It's so funny. As I hear you speak English, man, I really like. You have a very clean delivery. And I think that helps you a lot. When I speak, I had somebody give me we just had, I think like 2 weeks ago, we had Diamond Dallas Page, the wrestler.
DDP,
man, DDP. I had him on the show. And one of the guys who I know that's probably the most successful guy I know, super, super, super successful, super well known. He goes to me, Coach, you know what the number one thing you have going for you? And I didn't know if he was insulting me or giving me a huge compliment. He goes, your ability to believe everything you're saying.
Yeah.
So I don't have that clean English like you guys have and stuff. So I'm a big fan of that, man. And I always encourage people that have that clean delivery to do more because you have such talent there, man. And keep that going, bro, because not only look how effective you are, that the toughest person for you to communicate with is your kids, because and you have your son that just pretty much idolizes you at a very young age, and he still doesn't really know how really cool you are, man. And I think that's a gift, and I want to encourage you more to do that, man, because I think there's a big future in that with you too, with what you're doing, brother.
I appreciate that, and I will say that this is of all the podcasts I've done, and I'm not blowing smoke right now. Like of all the podcasts that I've done, like this has been you do have a way of communicating, like in a very conversational way. I don't know if you had questions prepared for this. It didn't seem like it. And I think that one of the signs of a good interviewer isn't just the questions they ask, but it's the answers that they get. And not because they ask a question, because it's never usually the first question that gets you the answer that you want. It's usually probing questions that come after that. And I think that a sign of a great interviewer is somebody who could go into an interview with a couple questions, but then ask 50 questions.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. I agree.
Really appreciate the professionalism and the way that this conversation has gone.
Dude, I got to make up for this look. The look looks just like I'm on vacation here. See, I'm tricking them, Jarrod, because what I'm doing is I looks like I'm partying, but it's all business. It's all like work ethic, dude.
I love it, man.
Bro, I'm gonna ask you for links. We're gonna post everything. We're gonna make sure that at least the bilingual community, I got a big bilingual following, big Latin following, that they get you, that they get what you're doing. We're gonna shoot them to the podcast, all that stuff, man. Before I let you go, any question for me, man? Anything I can help you with?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what I would want to know from you is when you see everything that we're doing online, what's your feedback? Like, what do you think we're missing other than obviously Grant calls himself Grand Cabron. I don't think.
El Gran Cabrón. El Gran Cabrón.
Yeah.
El Gran Cabrón. You know what the answer to that is, Jarrod? More. And you know it too, bro. Just more. Mm-hmm. Why a 1 day a week show? Why not a 7 day a week show?
Yeah.
Right? Because, dude, listen, if you were some idiot, I go, bro, listen, do 1 weekend, get the hell out of there. But you're such a cool guy, and you got this, you're not a tryhard. You're a helpful guy that the people are going to gravitate to. And you get this all the time. I'm not telling you anything new. Just more, man. Yeah. More. Switch it up. Have a Spanish dude, have a Latin dude, do a bilingual thing, answer questions in bilingual. You know what I'm saying?
That's the part I think, I'm really heavily involved in LinkedIn and social media. And, your message is outstanding and phenomenal. But think of how many people don't speak English that can't hear it.
I know.
So you guys need a vessel in that Latin community that could transport them there.
We just recently finished getting Cardone University translated in Spanish. The problem with translation, everybody's got their own idea of how the language should sound. I was like, okay, we're gonna translate to Spanish. Everybody's gonna be pumped. But then the Mexicans say that the Spanish is wrong, and then the Colombians say the Spanish is wrong,
and don't even get the Cubans. Well, listen, look how awesome it is that you just said that, bro. That's the number one problem with text message.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like if I text you right now and I go, "Yo, what's going on, bro?" That has a total different vibe than I go, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So that's the hard part, man. But that's why I love the live stuff and all that things, because they're seeing your vibe. And we started off with this with just vibe, and the vibe you have and the company and Grant is, man, listen, we're celebrating life, because what's the point of living if we're not going to celebrate it?
Yeah.
But we're helping people and we're documenting our success. So my answer to just a winning team that you guys is more without burning out, more. Okay, I did one show. HP said Thursday. Why not Monday, Tuesday? And listen, you guys are going to be out of town, but you live stream from out of town. You talk, hey, listen, guys, we just closed on a $3 billion property in Dubai. Yeah. Well, now let's help you guys at Dade County. Let me help my people in New York. Let me help my people, whatever. Dude, so I just think that, man. Brother, I'm so excited. I'm so happy that you guys are in Miami. I got to come. When everything settles, I'm going to come check out the operation.
Yeah, man.
Give you guys some love, talk, and just any help I can be. Ivan's there. Any help we can be. It's a platform for people. I'm not in the business of money, unfortunately. I'm in the business of positivity and of happiness, and that's what I care about. So anybody that I can help, man, in an organization, and we could push everything to you, you can count on me for that, my man.
I love it. We'll have to go play golf sometime. You're in Miami, so no.
1,000%. I'll show you my short game. I'll show you, dude. We'll have golf stories left and right. We'll bring the kid so he could see two legends on the field.
Yeah, come on.
you know what I mean? So we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. My man, thank you so much for your time. I can't thank you enough for your honesty. We're gonna be in touch. Such a winning team for a winning dude and a winning organization. So happy. I wish you nothing but success when we'll be in touch.
Yeah, man, I thank you so much. And I just, to everybody listening to this, like, HP got it down, man. He's a good dude. He's got a good mindset. Like, the way he sees the world is something that more people need. So keep plugging into this. And the best thing you can do to help him out is tell more people to listen to him. Because I've done a lot of interviews, and this is one of the best interviews that I've ever been a part of. And so I wanted to thank you for that.
My brother, thank you so much, dude. Enjoy your week. We'll be in touch, okay? Thank you.
Brother. Take care.
Take care,
Okay.
guys.
All right.